Okay, so for this video, I'm going to do the Ferris wheel problem. So I'll just go right into it. So we have a Ferris wheel, has a radius of 50 feet. And so a person takes a seat and then the wheel turns 2 pi over 3 radians. So how far is the person above the ground? So this is kind of a tricky problem. And yet, like, if you think about it the right way, parts of it aren't as tricky. But the first thing you've got to do is you've got to draw that Ferris wheel, and you have to just think about how does this work. So remember, with a Ferris wheel, so you've got your little platform here, and so when you get on the Ferris wheel, where do you get on? You get on at the bottom of it, right? And so what this problem is saying is that this Ferris wheel is rotating 2 pi over 3 radians. So this is my zeroing point, okay? So you'll have to think about, like, you know, like the unit circle, and like, okay, so if this is my 0 point, how far is 2 pi over 3? So 2 pi over 3 from this point is going to go, I don't know, we'll say somewhere up here. So this is 2 pi over 3. So we'll say that it's around here. So I know that 2 pi over 3 needs to be past pi over 2. So this is my 0 point. So this would be pi over 2 if this is where 0 starts. Okay, so this is actually all pretty important to recognize. So let me change my color here. Okay, so now, so this point here, so from here to here, this is pi over 2 radians, right? So here up to 90 degrees. But again, remember, like, we've switched the orientation of this Ferris wheel, or of this circle. And so there's a couple of things about this. So from here to here at the pi over 2 radians, how much distance have I covered above the ground? Well, at this point, I am this length, right? This length is 50 feet above the ground. Okay, cool. So we have 50 feet, but we're not done, right? So now I need to figure out how far is, actually let me change the color again, how far is this little distance in here? Okay, well, you can easily, like, figure that part out. So if I take 2 pi over 3 minus pi over 2, okay, so I've got to get this in a common denominator, so this will be 4 pi over 6 minus 3 pi over 6. So this little distance here is pi over 6. So let's see, so I'm going to draw a little triangle from here to here. Okay, so this angle here is, let's see, I'll draw it over here. This angle is pi over 6. Okay, and so I'm trying to remember, I'm trying to get that distance above the ground. So what I really need to know is, what is this straight length right here? So this is the length that I need to know, because then I take this plus this and I'll have the distance above the ground. So solving this triangle is not that tricky, but thinking about the whole picture and situation is tricky, right? So there's always going to be, trig has always a little bit of trickiness to it, and you do want to get used to thinking creatively. So even if you're like, oh man, I would have never gotten this, the key with problems like this, when you run into tricky problems, it's not to get down on yourself and think, oh, I'm never going to get this, oh, screw this class, all this stuff. It's really important when this happens that you just take a moment to appreciate it. Because where you're going when you take trig, usually when you take trig, you're trying to get to calculus. Trig, calculus, all of those classes require really creative thinking. So it's really important to go in with the mindset of not, oh, I'm so pissed off that I missed this, but instead of the mindset of, oh, okay, that was kind of creative, I didn't even think I could do that, and just catalog it and appreciate it, and then say, next time I will try to think of something just a little bit more like this. It takes a while to get this creative, so I just don't want you to beat yourself up. Okay, so anyways, so I need to figure out this length here. All right, well, we've got some other work to do. So first of all, what would this length of the hypotenuse be? Well, this is a Ferris wheel with a radius of 50 feet. So let's see, maybe I'll change my color here. So this is 50 feet here. So, all right, so I need to get this side So that would be the opposite side from this pi over 6. So I'm going to use sine of theta is opposite over hypotenuse. So in this situation, this is going to be sine of pi over 6 equals, so I don't know what the opposite is, that's what I'm trying to get, over 50. Okay, cool. So now I've got everything that I need. And actually, instead of calling this opposite, let's call this x. Okay, so then my x is just going to be 50 times sine of pi over 6. And this actually works out quite nicely. This just becomes 50 times 1/2, so this is just 25. So my final distance is going to be 50 feet plus 25 feet, so the person is just 75 feet above the ground. So it's actually a nice little answer here. So like I said, just try, to appreciate and kind of think about this and just catalog it for the future. That's really like the key for right now. And then, hopefully just kind of having that out of the box thinking. The next time this comes up, the habit that I want you to get into is to just tell yourself to pause and ask yourself, is there another way you could think about this? Now, sometimes when you do that, you'll come up with nothing. Sometimes when you do that, you'll come up with something really wild that isn't correct. And sometimes after enough tries, you actually start coming up with the right thing. So this is a long-term investment that we are making at the moment. So just kind of keep that in mind, okay? Okay, so I'm going to leave it at that, and I will catch you guys in another video. Peace.